Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. In this video, we will be focusing about economics of India. Before we look further, we will go to the introduction first. India's economy has undergone profound shift since the country gained independence in 1947, evolving from a largely agrarian system to one that harbors high technology in certain sectors. Initially shaped by state-led industrialization, the country later embraced free market reforms that opened avenues for private enterprise and foreign investment. Agricultural advancement, technological innovation, and policy reforms have driven growth, yet persistent challenges such as inequality, inflation, and slow industrial progress continue to shape the industry trajectory. This project traces India's economic evolution through 4 key historical periods and examines the major sectors that constitute the country's diverse economy today.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Abdul IQBAL. Today I will talk about inflation in India. Inflation in overall is increase and decrease in purchasing power. In other words, inflation can make your money buy less and more than usual. There are many factors that contribute in India inflation. The first one is demand pull inflation. This happens when the demand is higher than supply. For example, when the government and consumers spend more money than usual. The next factor is global factor. Happen when increase the price of global trade, import item and others. The last factor is black money. Black money is money that earns but not report it to the government to avoid paying tax. There are many negative impacts of inflation. The first one is reduced purchasing power. When inflation is high, people money can buy less, and this can lead to decrease in living standard. The next one is increased certainty. When inflation is high, the business will hardly to make a future plan and investment decision. The third negative impact is reduced competitiveness. When inflation is high, the goods and services in India will be more expensive, and this can be hardly to competitive in global market.
Now, look at the key policies that India has implemented to manage inflation effectively. In 2016, India introduced an inflation targeting framework through amendment to the RBI Act. The target was set at 4% plus minus 2%, and the Monetary Policy Committee was formed to adjust interest rates based on inflation data. This system made monetary policy more predictable and transparent, helping to control price stability in long run. Next is National Food Security Act, which ensures subsidized food grains for around 97% of the population. This helps stabilize food price by strengthening the public distribution system and protecting lower income households, especially during supply shock. Lastly, India gradually reduced and deregulate fuel subsidies for diesel, petrol and LPG. This shift to market-based pricing helped reduce the fiscal burden on the government. Target subsidies were still maintained to support the poor. This approach helped India fight inflation without sacrificing equity. Together, these policies reflect a balance of monetary, fiscal and supply-side strategies, enabling India to control inflation while also promoting stable economic growth.
Okay, this is a suggestion how to overcome inflation in India. Firstly, Indian agriculture face challenges affecting food price and inflation. We propose adapting modern farming methods like drip irrigation, improved seed and efficient equipment, along with better transportation network to reduce food waste. This measure will stabilize food supply, control price, and reduce inflation. Furthermore, Indian economy relies heavily on imports, making it susceptible to external price hike. One way to tackle this is by supporting local production and small business. Encourage the public to buy local goods will lead to cost saving, good ration, and reduce dependency on free market, ultimately contributing to more price stability. Lastly, overspending is another critical issue driving inflation. By teaching people how to budget effectively and adopt smart spending habits, we can reduce the pressure on demand and help control inflation. Financial education is play a pivotal role in stabilizing the economy.
Next, I will talk about one major economic problem in India, which is unemployment, and how it is connected to inflation. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many people in India lose their jobs because of lockdowns. Companies had to close and reduce their workers. This caused unemployment to rise, and millions of people had no income. When unemployment is high, people usually spend less, and that leads to lower inflation. But in this case, the Indian government wanted to help. They gave financial aid like cash, food, and free goods through a welfare program called PMGKY, which is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. This helped people survive, but it also gave them more purchasing power. When millions of people suddenly have money or goods, they start buying more, especially food and daily needs. However, during the lockdown, many businesses could not produce or supply enough goods. This meant demand was high, but supply was low, so prices started to increase. This is what we call demand pull inflation. So, even though unemployment was high, inflation also went up, especially for foods. This shows that giving financial help during unemployment is good, but if supply can't keep up, it may still lead to rising prices. So, unemployment in India caused the government to support people with aid, but because of low supply, this is also caused inflation. That's why it's important to balance financial aid with good supply and production.
There must be ways on how to overcome unemployment in India. There are several policies implemented, and the first one is monetary policy. Due to its high unemployment rate, India's unemployment rate is frequently a topic of discussion worldwide. The Reserve Bank in India, RBI, is the primary monetary authority in India. One of the effective ways to measure the unemployment rate in India is lowering the discount rate. When the bank delivers discount to the public indirectly, it raises the supply rate and necessitates more labor. Other than that, lowering the reserve requirement is also one of the ways to reduce the unemployment rate. The percentage of bank deposits that bank must maintain as reserve of balances with the RBI is known as the cash reserve ratio. The next policy implemented is fiscal policy. Increasing government spending is a very effective technique for measuring the problem of unemployment in India. When the salaries are increasing, people will have more money to spend on disposable income, and items demand will rise as individuals begin to spend money on it. In addition, one method that Indian government may lower unemployment is by implementing development projects. When the government has the plan to develop many projects, they require many laborers to make the project successful, and this can indirectly provide job opportunity for unemployed people to work.
Next, we go to the suggestion. First suggestion is adopt new technologies in diversifying the agriculture. The use of modern agricultural equipment improves seed varieties, the application of fertilizer and pesticide, genetic engineering, and other methods are just a few examples of how technology may be used in agriculture. This way could boost in producing the products in agriculture. At the same time, it could be increasing the revenue and profit of the farm. In other words, they could hire more workers when the diversification runs well. So, in order to fix it, the government of India needs to be concerned about diversification in agriculture, especially in rural areas with an increase in the budget to buy new and modern machines that could produce the spices faster. The next suggestion is introduction of new governmental measures. To improve labor productivity and create greater employment possibility for everyone, the government should take the lead. They need to reduce the qualification credits for people in the country. It's not only give opportunity to graduate students, but also other employed people. For example, employees do not need to be too strict in choosing their new employees. It does not mean that the candidates will be chosen without their qualification. They just will be employed with conditions that are not too severe. Eventually, this method could help in reducing unemployment rate. To sum up, India has strengthened its policy to avoid inflation and unemployment from increasing each year. The government is responsible for making policy that are relevant to oppose these two most important economic problems. In order to do this, the government must identify the underlying causes for employment as well as inflation. That's all from us.